we'll see how this goes. So trying restream on my phone using this program called Lyrics, and we do not have the upgraded Wi-Fi, so it might be kind of spotty, but it's overall pretty good. So yeah, doing this from my phone, and wanted to test it out this way because one of the things I'm trying to figure out if I can do is to live stream from my phone so that I can do my podcast known as Groovecast from my phone, be able to capture the audio and actually route my Zoom H6, which is a recording device, a handheld recording device that you can, it's battery powered. You can take it to anywhere and actually route good microphones into this handheld device. It's got phantom power, so I can run my condenser microphones off this device, take it to a venue in Charleston, go watch some music, and actually do live interviews and live stream it with good quality. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to do that, because I'll be very excited to be able to do that. That'd be so cool. So anyway, testing this out, gonna see how it sounds, and while I'm here, I figured I'd do this. I wanted to talk about a couple things before I get back to Charleston, and I thought I'd wait till Monday to do this, but then I thought I'll talk about it while all the ideas are fresh. Although I did just wake up not that long ago and brain's a little bit foggy. I need to go out and do some exercise and drink more water. But I wanted to start with one of the things that caught me by surprise a bit was, going to Jamaica, or going to any of these times that I'm traveling for purposes that are not work related. I always have this sense that I'm losing time, and I need to stay focused on my work. I need to stay focused on music, and that's how I will move forward. Is diligence and sort of relentlessness. But I'm showing that the live stream has ended. I'm going to check it one more time. No, it says it's still there. Yeah, okay. But what I found, actually I'm going to check the volume here to make sure. Yeah, no, it's coming through pretty good. Okay, so what caught me by surprise was, even in this short time that I was away, a number of different things jumped out to me about music that I would have never experienced without doing this, and I feel I learned. It gave me maybe sharper ideas, and so I wanted to talk about a few of those things. Not to mention just some cool things about Jamaica. If I was not married to Schwang, I would have never been to Cabo. I would have never been to China. I would have never been to Jamaica. I would have never been to Spain. There's a number of different places that I've been as a result that I'm really happy that I've been. In Cancun, even I would have never gone to Cancun, and I always kind of thought of Cancun and India. I always thought of Cancun kind of as like the party destination, maybe particularly for college students. But then when I'm going there, it's really a pretty rich culture, and there's a lot that's worth seeing there. Really had a wonderful time in Cancun. In yesterday, we did a lagoon, luminous lagoon. It's called Glistening Waters tour, where if you've heard of bioluminescence, basically these small biological organisms in the water, they soak up the sun all day. So if you have a bright sunny day, that's the best time to go out, and you go in the water and you swim, and just the movement causes these organisms to light up, and it's They're like a neon blue, and so you go swimming around, and it's like you have neon blue lights that are attached to you. Raise your arm out of the water, and your arm just sparkles. It's like you got little tiny stars that are dancing on your arm. It's really pretty amazing. So that was really neat. But related to music, I had a few different things here that came to me. All right. So one thing is the first day that we ate, I guess lunch when we first arrived here, they had some music playing on the background on the PA. And this is one thing as a musician now, I always notice what music is playing on the PA or on the sound system anywhere, and just what songs are being played, what type, that kind of stuff. This was really interesting because it actually, they were playing, I guess you'd call it island music. It had steel drums, but it was a cover of Cat Stevens' song Wild World. And this is a song that I'm extremely familiar with. I've played a lot of times. I kind of came into my life in an unusual way. It was just on a CD that was given to me, and a Cat Stevens CD, and I'd never heard of Cat Stevens before. And then I ended up, this is when I first drove out to California and blah, 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 blah. But I ended up leaving it in my CD player of my Honda Civic, Honda CRV. I only had a couple CDs, and so I just left this one in there, and I just listened to it all, for years. I feel like it was in there for like 2 years, and so that's just what I listened to. We became really familiar with the songs. But anyway, it's not a type of music that I would have thought would have been so widespread and widely known, and I wouldn't have expected to hear Cat Stevens' song here in Jamaica, but there it was. But it was redone, it was redone using more of a reggae feel with steel drums. I don't know if I'd call it quite reggae, but it had a nice tempo to it, and they really went for all the melodic runs. Da 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 da. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Da 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 da. If you know that song, you know what I'm talking about. And they redid that with steel drums and maybe some kind of staccato kind of guitar or something. Anyway, the point is, they did it really, really well. And what it made me think, or what it made me realize, I'm pretty sure this is what happened, or to some extent, this is what happened. We're at a resort that's here for tourists, and I imagine that whoever's in charge of picking out the music for these kinds of resorts, they want to pick music that has a specific effect on the people that stay here, and so they're being very conscious of who's coming here. And so it's a lot of different songs that get played, some that I'm not familiar with. I imagine it's a multicultural mix, but I think certainly the Cat Stevens song is picked with certain people in mind, a certain segment of the world population that is expected to be here, or that they've learned these are the people that come here. This is the demographic, and this is one of the songs that has a special place to a lot of the people that come here. And so let's redo it, and in this cultural feel, and show a kind of excellence. And so then when you see that, the kind of respect that was paid to a song that is meaningful to you or to your culture, that naturally is going to make you feel more welcome. And so I don't know, I'm not going to make a point as to whether it's a business play or whether it's genuinely a kind of cultural appreciation. But I just noticed that, and what I think it teaches me is just about being more conscious about how I purpose music. And that goes with one of the shifts in me as a musician and as a songwriter. One of the things that I used to I think I might maybe mention this in another of these podcasts recently, but after being a performing musician for this last year in a way to a level that I've never really been before, in terms of the amount of actual work that I was being contracted to do. I used to think more about music as I wanted to craft a song and accomplish a recording, and now I'm thinking about it way more as I want to write songs that have an impact in the live environment, and I want to have songs that make a difference to the people that I perform to, and that allow me to engage with people. And so a lot of the lines that I'm writing are much more about that than thinking about some kind of. I'm not making a movie. I'm making an interactive live experience, and that's so now I'm thinking a lot more about writing from that angle. And I think that, I don't know if you can make an argument about one's better than the other, but I'm tempted to think at this point that is more sort of primal in what music is, if that makes sense, if that's a way to say it. I just think music is probably more meant to be alive and experienced. So there's just some thoughts there. Also, we're in the airport. So here's number 2 thing I learned about music that caught me off guard. And this isn't exactly music, but when we were in the airport in Charleston, we were getting ready to get on the plane, and somebody working for the airport comes on the intercom, and he's explaining sort of a policy to people. I don't know if I'm using the phone, but over the intercom, and the policy is potentially, he's warning people that if they don't do something in a specific way, they're going to get left behind. And then he sings, and you'll be all by yourself. And he sings that out loud over the intercom. And he's like, all by yourself in Charleston, or something like that. And then that's it. And he cut out. And I thought that was really cool. And here's why. He was really good. His voice was really good. It was rich. It was on pitch. It demonstrated control, and technique or whatever. He was good, and he clearly had. Not only did he have a nice sounding voice, he had skill and technique. And a lot of times, okay, if you can think about it this way, if he's working in the airport, he's probably not, hitting it big in the music business. So. When that's the case, if you've got the kind of talent that he has and you're working in the airport, I have to imagine that there's a part of him that would want to see more success from his voice. And so a lot of times you might be looking for ways that you can promote yourself, where you can be heard a little more or be noticed, because that's kind of what needs to happen in order for you to develop more of a music career. Music as a career works because a lot of people notice, and a lot of people are willing to pay a small amount, and then that ends up being a larger amount, enough to sustain a career. So, but he only occupied that one line, and then he left it alone. And so it really was done for humor, but at the same time, it showed me just how skilled he was, and that just made me think a lot about how little time you need to be able to make a good point. And I think that's one thing that I think about a lot when I'm doing video editing. And one thing I've noticed about people that do video editing on YouTube channels and whatnot, you cut out all the silences, you cut out any words that are really unimportant, you cut out uhs and pauses and all that. And it ends up looking very stilted. These edited YouTube videos, they cut and they clip and kind of jump around. And at first I didn't really like that. I wanted to see the natural flow of how somebody speaks. But and then you have to wonder what was actually cut out. What are people cutting out? But over the course of time, I've thought, no, the more efficient you can make the communication, the better. It makes it that should be what we're really striving to do, is make things as efficient as possible so that it saves everyone time. It saves as much time as possible. And so also that's a way to be, the easier you make it for people to digest information, and the easier you make it for people to gather quality information, then that's a value, and the more that you're going to get people to pay attention to what you're doing. So I that's something that I feel like I learned from this guy singing all by myself in Charleston Airport. So that was a lot of fun. All right, we got two more things. All right, use different types of well-performed and arranged music within the same song. I was here just watching some YouTube videos or something, and stumbled across a song that was called "This Is How Love Feels Like," or "This Is What Falling in Love Feels Like." And it started out with a classical feeling, classical violin. It sounded like some music that you might have heard in the 30s. Really well done. And I'm trying to remember who the performer was. It was like a 4-letter word, like JVKE or something. I don't know. It goes fairly seamlessly from this like 1930s orchestral kind of feeling, like something you might have seen in a Disney movie from then. And then it transitions into a much more mainstream kind of pop. I don't know exactly how to describe this music. But it's like, feels like sun on my face. So this is love. I know it is. Something like, it's like, I don't know if that can give you the vibe at all. It's not. So for me, I've kind of always had a distaste for music kind of like that. And that's what really stuck out to me about this, is how he medleyed such rich, detailed, classical kind of sounds that really capture it. It's not faking it. You have to understand it to be able to do it that way, or you have to get somebody that's an expert to do it that way. And he did that, and then seamlessly transitioned it into this pop music, and it really gave me a much deeper appreciation, or a real, not a deeper appreciation. It for the first time kind of flipped my feeling towards this particular kind of music, and so I think that's a remarkable thing. So that got me just thinking about how you can use music from different generations and use that within the same music. I mean, I know this is not anything entirely new. That's been done in hip-hop music. But I think that it's done more in a way where there's a word for it. It's kind of sampled. It's sampled. This was not like that. This was part of the song. This was the way it was written, and so that, to me, then you're showing an appreciation for different values across generations, and you're finding a way to communicate it through music, and that is profound, I think. So that's something that I'm going to move forward thinking about. And last but not least, or maybe it is least, I don't know. This is the last thing. Yeah, research great musicians and how they really made their impact. And so I wanted to learn more about the extent to which musicians, great ones, made their impact through their music or through how they lived their life, or both. Because to me, I've watched plenty of music where I'm not particularly inspired by the music, and yet these people are considered to be great. And so I wonder how much, like, for example, Frank Sinatra might be an example. I'd be really curious to learn more about Frank Sinatra, but I wonder to what extent, because I don't know a lot about him, but it seems like he was involved in the mob. No? That's my peripheral understanding. And so to what extent it was more his place in society, or other things going on that made him out to be some kind of great singer, when in actuality I just think there's a lot of technically incredible singers in the world. So what separates the ones that are culturally great It's just something that I'm interested in learning more about and researching. And so I'm starting with Bob Marley. Since I'm here in Jamaica, why not learn about Bob Marley? Maybe it's cliche, but you hear a lot of Bob Marley being played here. And so I just started watching some videos, learning about Bob Marley, watching him speak, trying to learn about who he is as a person or who he was. And there's some pretty interesting stuff. Watched him do a performance of I Shot the Sheriff, which I've learned before, that song. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot no deputy. So when I've learned that song before, it's kind of fun, but it's a little bit weird to relate to, and it's an unusual song. When I watch him perform it, it's like he nails it. And so I learned a lot about how to perform that song from watching him play. And he's like telling a story, and you can see why he as a performer was so loved or so enjoyed. He really gets into it, and he really tells the story, and he tells it with every bit of himself. So that's something I'm interested in doing. I'm going to be doing once I get back to Charleston. As part of my push to make more digital content, that's something that I'm going to be doing, is learning about this for myself as well. But in the process, I figure I might as well make some content about it and share maybe boiled down versions of the research that I do. And so I'm going to start with Bob Marley, but I'm going to look at a lot of different artists, cross generations, cross genres, and just try to learn about them and how they made their impact, and then produce short videos that try to concisely convey that. So excited about some work that I'll be doing as we move into the future. I think I'll leave that there. We're gonna go get something to eat. This will be my probably the shortest podcast ever. But I'll leave again saying, hopefully I'm gonna listen to this and see how it comes through. But this is something that I'm hopefully gonna figure out how to do, is to run this phone live streaming through my Zoom H6, get really high quality audio, and be able to live stream podcasts and interviews at music events in Charleston. So maybe go to some different open mics and really get to know different people and be able to promote what's going on actually digitally, so you can see what's going on and learn more detail. Because like one thing I feel like in open mics and different events, like, there's so much going on, you can't really have, I don't know, maybe you can, but I find myself never really wanting to have like really personal conversations, just because it's like it doesn't feel like it's the place exactly. But this for some reason feels more natural to me. So I don't know. We're gonna give it a whirl and see what happens. Looking forward to doing it. Thanks for tuning in. This is Noah Grove and Lee Shuang from Jamaica.